again. Let me refresh here. Yeah, okay. I think it actually took it this time. Uh, I hurt my neck just sleeping.
Hey everybody, happy Friday. Yes, please, happy Friday. Welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host Anne, and disembodied voice Justin, who I have to put in my ear. And is back with a better back. Yes, it feels much better today. Oh my god. Like okay guys, I admit it, I did the holiday thing, as Justin just pointed out, everybody is feeling, or David just pointed out to me, everybody is feeling this way. When you start that new exercise routine and you push yourself too hard, and then you feel like a dummy. Hey, Neural, thanks for the resub. 14 months. Awesome. Hold on, let me put disembodied voice Justin in my ear. I didn't get my correct jack. Justin is jacked in. Well, at least I hope so. He
Blue.
is. He is. Justin is jacked in. Yeah, everyone does that thing, right? And for the most part, the stupid thing was I'd gotten through most of the workout, so I was probably feeling confident and good, right? And that's when it bit me. So it was even toward the end. Like, it was just right before the ending stretch that I managed to tweak my back. I felt it go, too. I was like, oh, we're not doing anything. And then the next pose was corpse pose, and I felt I embodied that. So yeah, so I totally did that workout thing where you tweak your back because you're silly with your new exercise program. So apologies for yesterday. For once, I think this is the only day I've called in that wasn't a Kiri emergency, like in a year or something. Justin, like when was the last time I was actually sick? Right?
Um,
Ages.
yeah, I don't remember
I'm
to be honest.
generally not a sick person, but actually I haven't been. I haven't had a real illness since I went on keto. I think like 3 or 4 years
I
ago.
think all the shows though, this
Mm-hmm.
show has, even though it operates 5 times more than any other show we
Mm-hmm.
have, week obviously, it's missed the least amount of days. I
Yeah.
actually think we
Mm-hmm.
don't typically miss this show, even
No.
if it means I'm starting it from my phone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and I'm generally a healthy Ann, so yeah. The only thing that's
Exactly.
broken in me is really my back at this point. Knock on wood that I don't knock on wood over here. There we go. There's wood. I better knock on the appropriate material, or the universe will be sad at me. There we go. Hey everybody. Yeah. So my back feels much better today, which is awesome, because as everybody knows, back pain is terrible. So yesterday I just concentrated on trying to kind of shore it up, and I did my good physical therapy exercises last night. So it seems to be happy today. It seems to be happy. Crossing fingers that the back is indeed happy. I mean, the nice thing is that when I felt it go, I caught it right away. So I didn't push it beyond that. So I just had a little bit of a tweak. So yeah, exactly, Inara. Yeah, it meant that I couldn't paint really yesterday is the only problem, right? Because no matter how good the kneeling chair is, I'm still doing this, right? Which is going to put strain down your neck and automatically put strain on your lower back. So I pretty much went, no, and just did PDFs for the Patreon yesterday, just worked on those, and couldn't paint, which is sad, but yeah. So I was good to it. I used my back pillow. Hopefully it'll be okay. I know you all have those days especially if you hobby a lot, because like I said, or if you computer a lot, right? Because you're always doing that, and that just, or even if you stare at your cell phone a lot, like that can screw you up too. Because it's still, whenever you lean your head forward, all your lower back is part of what grabs a hold of you to keep you from falling over. So, yeah, definitely be careful with yourselves, hobby people. There's wear and tear involved. So today we're gonna work on skin, because I haven't been happy with this skin color, and also I need to like paint the arm and the hand and stuff. So I thought that we would do a new skin tone, because we originally wanted a little bit of a darker skin tone, but not a really dark one. So I thought I would grab the one that I got with Xandros here, which is kind of a lighter golden brown color, a little bit lighter than Zari. So a little bit lighter than the Ruddy Flesh color that you can get with Bones paint. Although if you add yellow and white to that color, you can get something close to this. So yeah, I am. My back is, I coddled my back yesterday and did some PT, Shadow Raven, so we're good. Yeah, it is, it's just, I mean, it is like a dark tan, right? But it's not like like Mediterranean. I like this color better. You are seeing a little bit orangier on the monitor than it really is in our, just judging from what I'm seeing. But yeah, I want it to be. So I think what I used to get Xandros' color was actually an out-of-print paint, Sandy Brown. But you can, if you look at it, Sandy Brown is actually quite close to tan skin. It's just a little bit more, it's a little bit darker and orangier, right? So what I thought I would do is to use tan skin and maybe a tiny bit of russet brown or maybe a tiny bit of ruddy leather. And mix that with my tan skin and then add my harvest brown. Because the original mixture for Xandros was, I think, 4 drops of Sandy and 1 drop of Harvest, and I was really happy with that kind of coppery colored skin tone. Yeah, well, Twitch has been weird, apparently. Justin says Twitch has been having moments, Nomad Zeke, which is nothing new, right? So let's try to go that way and see what we can get with a more natural skin tone for Our Lady here, and then work on highlighting it. So I was trying to match, what I was trying to match with Xandros was kind of Pacific Islander, and the skin tone there is actually a lot lighter. Like, it actually does go up more toward like a Caucasian-y skin tone, especially in the highlights. But they still have a rich, like kind of golden brown color, like in the midtones and shadows. So I looked at a lot of photos. I'm like, that is like a funky, like really cool looking, and definitely it's a darker skin tone, but it's really neat looking, and it was hard to mix. But I think I've got that base. So let's see. Let's try it with tan skin and see what we can do. I'm going to start out by just doing a tan skin version of the mix that I did for Xandros. So I did 4 drops of this and 1 drop of that. So instead of the Sandy Brown, which is out of print right now, though you can certainly use it if you own it, it's very versatile. I will use 4 drops of tan skin and 1 drop of Harvest and see what we can do. Because we wanted, when I first asked you guys what you wanted for skin tone, you did want to go a little bit darker, like a darker Mediterranean. So that's what we are going to go for. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could use the olive skin tones, but they tend to be a little greenish because they're olive skin tones, and I was afraid that they would clash a bit with the gray, so I decided not to do that. I'm trying to see if my chat is kind of weird. It's like not wanting to go up like it should. And Harvest Brown. So you're going to try to be very good and simple. Wow, no, that's a lot of fluid. So that I did not. Here, look at Anne's fail. And fail, and fail. Look at how transparent that paint is. There's too much binder in it. I didn't shake it well enough. I should know better, because whenever you have one of these intensely yellow paints, and there is a lot of yellow and orange in here, you would need to shake it. More than I did. I just did my usual few shakes. Like, usually I do one, usually I do like this and I'm done. But really with this, I needed to do double that. But I'm not going to like sweat it. I'm just going to put a full drop in and adjust. I may have to do another drop of tan skin because that's more like 1.5 drops of Harvest Brown. And we'll just see what we get. Where's my brush? There it is. Yeah, Blorf in the palette. Blorf not even on the model. So I think that's quite orangey, and it needs some brown. So I think I'm going to go, I feel like Ruddy Leather is just going to take me very much more saturated. So I'm going to go for the Russet Brown, which is more like the Burnt Umber. Remember, guys, very useful paint color when you're mixing paint on canvas. Also a very useful paint color when you're mixing paint on miniatures. So let's put a little bit of that in. That's going to drop the orange, and it's going to mute it out and make it more brown. I'm still not getting quite the depth that I was getting for Xandros, but I think I'm going to go for this, and maybe I'll shade it down with more brown, and I'll bring it up with my tan skin, and maybe with a little bit of yellow added for light. Your Christmas order arrived! Woohoo, Rax! It only took it forever. Good day, Dogfather. Alright, so this is the color. Let me get my huge black base in here so that you guys can see. There it is. That's a great representation, actually. That's perfectly. It looks exactly like it does in person. So that's kind of a darker, right? If we look at it next to my skin tone, it's definitely darker. It's definitely more golden. That's what we're looking at. We aren't going to really have a face to deal with as far as stuff goes. This is actually just a little less orange than what she's got on right now. So we shall see. Nomad Zeke, that's hilarious. A little bit spicy, huh? Yeah, with your ghost peppers or whatever you ended up putting in. You know what I'm going to do, guys? Because this still looks a little orangey to me, and remember, the skin is just a base coat also, but it looks a lot like what I've got here, and I feel like I want something that's just a little bit darker, more saturated. I'm going to go and transfer some of this. This is what I do a lot when I'm mixing, is I'm just going to transfer some of my initial mix over to a new well. And there I'm going to add more colors to make a shadow color. And this time I'm going to use Ruddy Leather in there with my russet, because I decided I do want to give it a little bit more red, a little more life. Let's see. This is going to hit it pretty hard because I didn't put down much of my base in there. Yeah, there we go. So that's a pretty mahogany color. That's a pretty good shading color, I think. And I'm going to thin it down quite a bit because it's a shadow color. It's not meant to be a base. I think that's going to take our skin and slide it nicely toward a reddish brown. One of that and one habanero. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. See, that's my problem with intestinal stuff going on. There's no way I can do something that's spicy. When it even irritates normal people's intestinal tracts, I have to go, no. Yeah, I like these colors. They're it's very pretty. So we'll use this, we'll shade with that, and then we'll go up. And I'm probably going to do the same thing going up. So I'm going to, even though the problem is I didn't mix very much of this, but I do need to thin it, and that'll give us a little bit more fluid to play with. So if you think you're going to work this way, guys, don't be me. Do be me, but make sure that you have a nice big puddle of your base mix so that you can transfer a bunch of it, both for shadows and highlights. So for highlights, let's grab an off yellow. I don't want to use something really yellow. I feel like I want Osirian Sand or something like that, or lemon. I do like lemon. Osirian Sand isn't quite yellow enough. We'll try lemon first. So lemon is a a pale yellow. I'm just going to use a smidge of it, and then I'll probably go up after that with Osirian Sand. So just a smidge, almost like when I press it up against the side of the palette, guys, I'm pretty much like trying to dispense about a half a drop, which I will do if I'm making a smaller mix. I do need to remember that I have less paint over here, so that's going to warm it up a lot, and we're going to drop some, we are going to go with some Osirian Sand because I don't want it too yellow. So Osirian Sand is a nice kind of an ice yellow color. It's a Pathfinder paint. It's a very versatile warm off-white. You, of course, can also use it to like dry brush highlights on your sand, and it works great. I'm going to add a couple of drops of Osirian Sand. Once again, add another drop of water, because adding a color that has a lot of white in it is going to make it more opaque. There we go. I like that highlight color. It's pretty good. All right, so we've got our colors here laid out. That's pretty good. This might need to go just a tad darker. Just a tad. We'll see. We'll see. I'll be layering it up. Hello, Max. Thank you for... Hey, it's your sub-anniversary. Happy sub-anniversary to Max. Awesome. As a hobbyist, you could do a lot worse than being me. Chalice of bloodstone chili. Oh dear. Some call this chili. Others lava. Either way, it will destroy your bowels. Yes, pretty much. Yeah, Trouble. It was my back. I was silly. I started a new exercise program for the new year, and we are doing yoga, David and I together. It's our first exercise program together, and I just let it lapse. I relaxed a little bit too much, wasn't supporting my core, and tried a thing, and it didn't work. I was lulled into a false sense of security by the fact that I'd done the modified move before and thought I could handle it, but we know how that goes. Now, since I'm putting this over my current base coat a little bit. I'm going to work it over this. I don't need it too thick. I forgot I had to do this arm, though, and that's going to bite me. Because the arm does need to go on thick. So, now I need to remix my base. Grr. That's okay, though. I remember how I did it. I did a lot of this. We're just going to add just a bit of paint. So, I'm going to do 3 drops instead of 4. I'm going to do a touch of Harvest. I'm going to do a touch of Russet. Probably want a little bit more Harvest. Just a tad. There we go. Just go with your gut on mixing. You only have to get close, guys. You don't let anybody... I was talking to somebody about this on the Patreon the other day, I think. But don't think that you have to be perfect match. I mean, especially not when I'm going to be going over my base coat anyway. It doesn't matter. Just get in the ballpark. There we go. That's maybe a little bit darker than the first time around. No, actually, that's perfect. I could go a little orangier. But now I feel like I do need to go a little darker with this one. So I'm going to add a little bit more of my russet and my... just a dab. That's like a half of a drop when I dab it against the side of the palette like that. Because I don't want to hit it too hard. And again, this is made by just transferring some of my base over here and adding russet and ruddy. That's a nice mahogany color. Good. So there we go. Now we have, I feel like that's a pretty good mid-tone shadow highlight. So we just created a triad. All we had to do was start with our base color and just add some darker browns here and some more white and more golden colors here. Yeah, I'm not hardcore into yoga, Trouble. I mean, I'm trying it. I like it because it's building core strength. And because my back is bad, I need that. I desperately need that. If I want to be a functional human being and not have to worry about my back very much, I need to have a strong core. So that's a big motivator for me because, you know, David likes to hike and do all sorts of physical things and ski and things that, you know, that are going to put a strain on my whole structure. So I need to get my core stronger. I was playing with Pilates last year, but I wasn't good at sticking to it. So having him do the yoga with me is going to make me stick to it. And also I've always wanted to try yoga. So we're going to move this back. We're going to get her in focus. We're going to work on some skin tones. And I'm also going to get zoomed out just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, it is really good, Bryce. And I can feel that it's making me stronger. Like, it's kind of gratifying because in some ways I'm more flexible than David. Ha 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 ha. I can touch my toes effortlessly. He has to work at it. That feels good. But yeah, so it is fun. And if if we get into it, then maybe I'll get back to my Pilates, which is also good for core. And just has a different range of exercises. Although it's a lot in common, like the spine arches and stuff that you do. It's a lot of the same warm-up in Pilates as it is in yoga. So either way, I just need to strengthen my core. It's definitely helping. Like, I can feel that it's helping. Especially because I still do PT exercises at night. So yeah, I would endorse it. We're going with one of the more popular yoga streams on YouTube. Just if anybody is looking to investigate it. The first part starts out pretty chill. The first episode. The second part is the one that kind of did me in at the end. But it's Yoga with Adriene, and it's Adriene. She apparently is one of the most popular yoga YouTube streamers and makes a good living at it. And she has a dog. She has he looks like an Australian cattle dog named Benji. And he at least starts out being in the video, although sometimes he gets bored and leaves. But, you know, the dog sold me. So, We've been doing her program that she just started, which David gets a little bit like frustrated with because she also does some like breathing exercises. But since I'm doing meditation and mindfulness, I'm like all about it. So he like usually wants to skip the first 10 minutes, and I'm like, well, let's just do a few. Oh, and I want to share my victory with you guys. Like, I kind of let myself glutenate and go kind of higher carb over the holidays because, well, David's mom sent cookies, my mom sent toffee, all that stuff happened, right? So I went back on low carb, not keto, but low carb. I missed a mold line. Bummer. I'm going to take that off with a knife real quick. But I went back on low carb, and it's always gratifying when you've been on a high carb diet for a time and you go on low carb because you lose a crap ton of weight in the first week, which is a lot of it is water loss. But it still makes you feel awesome, and you like, you're motivated because you lost so much. So I actually lost 4.8 pounds my first week. Today is the 8th day. I'm trying to weigh myself once a week. So I'm super gratified that I dropped all that weight in my first week, even though I know most of it was water. But it's still weight, still like bloating and crap, so I'm super happy. So we'll see how I do. I'll report to you guys. You can be my accountability pals. I'll report to you how I'm doing with the weight loss. Because since I hit my low weight, some of you may have seen me at ReaperCon a couple of years ago, I think I was at 162 or something during that. And since then, I gained about 15 pounds, like during the stressful year where I was planning to move and moved, and then Kiri's illness, all that. Oh my God, I'm a stress eater. I'm terrible. That's my next habit I need to break. But yeah, so I gained about 15. So I'm out to lose that and then do another 10. Yeah, my cat was big. Goat yoga. Interesting. Yeah, it is hard to breathe correctly, right? Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Texas Chili Cook-Off where the guy from Brooklyn is a judge, all the Texans probably rolled their eyes. Although, it doesn't, you can be from a different state and still love Texas chili. Like, now I am from a different state, and technically I'm a Wisconsinite by, upbringing, though not by birth. So, you can be non-Texan and still appreciate a good Texas chili. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, so that's a nice start to my weight loss. I encourage any of you who are also out to lose a few pounds after the new year. I know that's a common resolution. Much encouragement. You can do it. Even if you failed before, you can do it. You gotta believe it. That's like step one. I think that's the big difference with me starting this weight loss program now, as opposed to starting it at any time in my past, is that since I dropped that like 50, 60 pounds over the past couple of years on keto, I know I can do it. So since I know I can do it, then it's just determination and kind of watchdogging myself because I know I'm a stress eater, and that's really the thing that gets me. Yes, I have the best intentions, and then stress comes in, and I, grab a peanut butter cup or whatever, right? So I am there. I am one of those. So I'm just pretty much blocking in the skin again with my slightly different color. And then once we've got that all firmly figured out, we can start doing some shading and some highlighting. It'll be interesting because we're doing it kind of around all this stone color. So but I want enough skin on her, and I'll probably have to putty this joint up here. But for now, Cincinnati style chili. What is it like in Fontana? Is it like more tomatoey or is it more sweet? What's Cincinnati chili? What's it like? Nomad Zeke, my old cat used to do exercises with me too when I was doing my PT. Like when I was lying down to do my stretches, he would actually lie down next to me and look at me. It was really cute. I think I have a picture, even a photo of Panther doing that. Panther was Mama San's son, Mama San the shop cat, who passed away last year. And Panther has also passed away recently. But he was a cool cat. Half Siamese. The fixins and the noodles. Right, got it. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, see, I appreciate a no tomato chili, so in Fontana, maybe I'll have to look that up because I can't have tomato. It's one of my big triggers. Um, like just really can't. It upsets my gut instantly. So, if Cincinnati chili like has no tomatoes, then I might really actually enjoy that. And chocolate. Interesting. Interesting. I need to make a cooking. We need a cooking channel on my my Patreon Discord, guys, so that people can post up recipes. Because I am such a foodie and I'm such a cook, and I love to try different stuff. But I'll try to remember Cincinnati chili, and look for a no tomato recipe. Because the chocolate part sounds awesome too. I make a pretty good Texan chili at this point. But there we go. I think we've base coated over all of our previous tones. I like this better. It looks more natural. I like this skin tone. Yeah, I know it's a little closer to Sloppy Joe's with the finer cut, but I bet I could adapt the spices to make a more chunky chili, which is what I like. Usually, I mean, what I really like to do is grab a recipe and then modify it in ways that make me happy. So,
Miss Ann, you're the only person I would say that's actively in my life that actually cares as much about food that I do. Like that actually like tries recipes and has
oh yeah.
interest in the different types of food and the application.
Oh yeah, and switching it up, right? Because you got to modify, especially with my diet. I have to modify it a lot, right? Because I'm low carb, so I have to always be looking at, what am I going to sub here? And I can't have tomatoes, so it's like, well, what can I sub here? What can I do here? So yeah, totally. I think Justin, that it was actually going on keto that made me get so interested because I had to modify so many recipes. So I had to kind of learn it. Like it got me excited about learning it. Once I realized I could make super tasty food and still eat low carb, I was all into it.
See, for me, it was the idea of potentially like sustaining my own like protein source
Right.
essentially
Yeah.
via hunting and things like that,
Oh, neat.
where I can take protein because protein is where my most of my interest is. Right, I've made at this point it feels like a million steaks to try to get the perfect however I want to do it.
Right.
But like to me, it's the idea of sourcing, like I said, my own protein and then like making recipes around it is what interests me originally.
Yeah, that's pretty cool too. And there's quite a movement around that now. With the whole, just doing your hunting and using more natural meat sources and not all the farmed stuff, and right. Heritage pork and all that. And I've kind of gone in that direction as well when I can. So yeah, totally all about it. I made ribeye steaks last night and I nailed it. Nailed it, Justin. Perfect medium rare.
I haven't had a ribeye in like 2 weeks at this point.
Oh, I love ribeyes. Oh, are you on a diet?
Yes, I started working out on. Here's the thing though. Back when I was really heavily into working out, I ate a ribeye basically every night. That's not healthy.
No, well,
I mean it's high in protein, right? But and I did trim extra fat depending on.
Oh, but that's the tasty part.
It is. Hey, listen. I didn't like doing it, but I definitely like. Some days I felt that I needed to out of guilt, right?
Right.
But no, I mean I am on a diet. I started working out as of like Monday, and my entire body is just sore as hell.
Aww.
And so but it's
be careful.
It's good.
Don't do me.
Yeah, the big mistake was doing the Stairmaster day too.
Oh,
I did 45 minutes on the Stairmaster.
Oh my god,
my body was not ready for that.
Bad, Justin. Don't. You guys always push yourself so hard. Like I watch all my guy friends do this, and you're all just like, "I'm gonna hit it. I'm gonna hit it," and I'm like, "You're gonna hurt yourself."
Yeah, I mean, I this is the first time I've done this since I've got into my 30s, and I really
it makes a difference.
Just catching up.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Yeah, you got to build slow at that point, I think. So we're going in just to actually interrupt and not talk food and workouts for just a second. So what I'm doing, guys, I'm taking my shadow color and I'm kind of following this marbled effect that I've got down here. Since I kind of have a little bit of a marbling and stuff approach going on the stone, I want to kind of echo that in the way the stone is going into the skin. And so I'm taking my shadow color here and I'm painting over my base color to darken it down on the inner part of the thigh, because it would be, most of the light's going to be hitting the top of the thigh. So I also grabbed my highlight and started putting that in. You can kind of see that right here. So as I go, this is what I'm going to be kind of working on. I'll go down and do the foot. I'll come over and do this other leg, and then we're going to come up and play around with the hand and the arm. But yeah, okay, cool. I'm just trying to catch up. But yeah, we do need Reaper Eats. Like, is there a Reaper Eats channel in the Reaper Discord, or do we not have a food channel, Justin?
I don't know. We should. If we
We
don't,
really should. Yeah, so many people here cook so many awesome things that it just seems like it would be fantastic for them to be able to share recipes and pictures.
Yeah, that's the thing is I feel like the one big overlap that I have with our community is, well, one, I'm nerdy too, but two, I've actually noticed that like with our community, a lot of people cook and they are foodies. In that
Yeah,
sense.
yep. I love it. It's fantastic. It's great. So yeah, maybe we should yeah, a lot of streamers I think have food porn channels on the Discord. Well, it's something to think about, Reaper John. Maybe run it by the powers that be and see if they're up for it. It'd just be a community thing. But it would be nice to be able to like put the recipes, you know, like if you do a recipe and you're like really you're into it and you're like, this is a great recipe, being able to share that and share a picture of the food that you made would be super fun. I'll go and do one on my Discord for sure, but it would be cool if Reaper had one too. But yeah, here we go. So yeah, again, highlight and there, and I'm kind of going to use the mid-tone guys to bridge these two. So I'm bringing in my highlight a bit stronger here now. I want to be careful because I don't want to compromise my gray. Like I don't want it, the highlight is a lot of the same shade as the gray, meaning it's about the same level of dark or light. And so it tends to fade out a little bit. So what I'll probably do also, again, going back to that marble thing, is I'll kind of use some of the shadow color to accentuate some of these lower edges a little bit as the stone is coming in. And that almost like veining into the skin, which is very interesting. And maybe, I hope it'll look cool, but just giving a little bit, see how I'm doing it right there? Just not all over, not totally outlining the area, but getting just a little bit so you can suggest that stone kind of creeping in. I think that would be a pretty cool way to do it. And I'm going to leave kind of a dark pattern here. So I want to make sure that I'm still accentuating the differences. So you can see how dark the inner thigh is getting there. So you can see that shadow now that's painted on that kind of outlines the thigh muscle. Because you still have to concentrate on like the areas of the body and how you are accentuating them. So since there is that big wide thigh muscle up here, we need to remember that, and we need to shade and highlight appropriately. So now that leg's looking pretty good. Yeah, game night snacks for sure. I roughly measure spices, roughly, but I can eyeball it pretty well too. There's certain things that I don't feel it's as important, like chili. My chili recipe, I think I could err a bit on some of the ingredient proportions and still end up with a good result. So again, up here, I'm going to come in, I'm going to kind of put a darker edge around some of this stone and skin, especially if there's a crack coming in here. I might accentuate that just because I want that pattern. I want this to look really cool and funky. Over here, likewise, since I've decided to do this, I'm going to commit to it over here as well. Putting in a little bit of the darker shadow to edge the areas. Yeah, Luca does a lot of food stuff too. Yep. Yeah, I like talking food. And I like talking like, you know, diet, because, you know, it is totally possible to be on a diet and still eat awesome food. I mean, that's why I do the low carb thing of who's it. So anybody who has to go on low carb and wants, you know, to know what my cookie recipe is, you know, totally I will share that. But yeah, I laugh at the fat comment on the ribeye, Justin, because if you're on low carb, then you don't have to worry about that.
No, you're right. And to be fair, that style of eating, I was low carb for all intents and purposes, and the only thing I got carbs from were brown rice the 4 other times that day I'd eaten it. You saw you remember my little meals I was toting around?
That's a lot of carbs though. Like rice is really high carb. Like quarter cup for like 35 grams of carbs. When you consider that you start keto at 20 grams or less of carbs a day, then, and my diet is swings between 25 and 50 grams of carbs a day. So that's like I could have 1/4 cup of rice. That's it. And that's actually what I did with the risotto. I like put cauliflower rice in and mixed it in with real arborio rice to make my duck risotto. So I do that mix.
That sounds so good.
Yeah, I love my
Yeah,
duck.
I think for me I guess low carb is not exactly what it was. I just avoided carbs after 3 p.m.
Yeah, well
for the
that's
most
smart.
part.
Yeah.
And I front loaded my day with actually realistically now that I'm thinking about it, probably 4 or 5 cups of brown rice.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I say, yeah, but now mind you, I was also spending 2+ hours a day in the gym.
Yeah,
So like
right.
I was,
So you were
yeah,
burning all that. Right, exactly. Yeah, and calories are still kind of king. I mean, the type of calories that you eat, I think, are more going to impact like your blood sugar, right? Which definitely impacts your weight as far as, your blood sugar and how easily you will let go of your pounds, right? Which is why I go low carb. I found that it worked for me. But
right.
you can still lose weight on a higher carb diet. I mean, I've done it. It was hard because I feel like I was hungry a lot. But if you were doing a lot of whole grains, you probably got away from that. Probably wasn't a problem.
Yeah. I mean, I had issues because I look forward to my
Shading.
ribeye every day. But my issues were after I'd eaten that,
Yeah.
right around 8 or 9 o'clock, I ended up like I'd get really hungry, so I'd have a protein shake. But I would have the basically zero carb casein protein, the stuff that's supposed
Mm-hmm.
to sit on your stomach for like 6 hours.
Right.
So that was basically every day. Now I will say there's no way my kidneys were appreciating all of that
Oh,
protein.
no, no.
Jesus,
It can have
I
a really
couldn't do
bad
that
impact.
again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, okay, guys, now we're going to shade under the rib cage here. We're going to essentially add some shading wherever it be. Under the chest, under the rib cage, in the hollow here of the hip, between the belly and the hip, there's always a shadow there. Likewise, coming down the side of the stomach, you usually have a shadow here. So let's block in our skin shadows. You can see that coming together here. The leg's looking pretty good here. I still need to fix it here, but I've got some shading on this side, nice shading on the interior of the thigh. Got a highlight going up. Using my skin tone to bridge these two, my middle skin tone here, to kind of bridge these two colors and make them come together. And I can add more of my highlight to bring that leg up more as I go. Anne says duck risotto in the world seems a little more positive. Oh, it's so good. Like, it's half the reason to make a duck. You roast the duck, and then you get the duck risotto, like, in the next day or two. And, it lets you slaughter the rest of the duck carcass for every little shred of meat you can possibly find. And then I usually augment with, like, chicken thighs if I want some extra protein in the risotto. Or...
I've never actually had duck breast or any sort of good preparation of duck before,
Really?
ever.
Wow. Guys, I've got a little bit of roughness here. I'm going to take it off with my knife. Duck is tasty. Okay, it's a really strong poultry flavor, and it's definitely a different sort of meat. But duck is good. I'm a duck fan.
Compare it to like, I guess I've had like I've had other game birds, I guess, but I've never
Okay, so
had
it's like similar to goose, probably, if you've had goose.
I've never had goose. So I was okay compared to chicken in terms of poultry flavor.
It's a darker meat. It's a much richer and fattier meat. It has, when you make duck stock from a duck carcass as opposed to chicken stock, it has a very strong poultry flavor. Like it makes your chicken broth seem like weak sauce. Like duck broth is serious. One ice cube of it will bring a really strong poultry flavor. Duck fat
Okay.
also, like I use duck fat to roast vegetables, and it's the traditional way to make potato chips. But it does give you a very strong, rich, savory flavor. So
God, that sounds amazing.
it is really good. Sometimes if I'm lucky, I can order duck breasts alone, and then I just use those in the risotto to add extra duck. But yeah, I mean, it's a tasty meat. It's very different. It's like comparing. It's like comparing sirloin to ribeye, almost. Except that both of those are still noticeably beef, but it's a darker meat too. I don't know. You guys got any ideas how to explain it to Justin? Yeah, blanching your fries in duck fat, the old traditional way, Mighty Jabberwock, exactly. Oh, a smoked duck, interesting.
And I assume in this case the duck is the ribeye in the analogy.
Yeah, because when you've got a duck breast, there's like a cushion of fat on the outside under the skin, and you preserve that, and you make sure to brown the skin. So like if you're just cooking duck breasts, you do them in the cast iron like you would a ribeye, and do them fat side down, skin side down to get a nice brown, crispy crust. After you score, you have to score the skin to let the fat come out so you don't get too fatty. But it cooks in its own fat pretty much. It's just really, really good. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
amazing.
I wonder if I can order a duck breast from somewhere that supplies it. That's like farm raised or
Probably.
something, maybe.
Oh yeah, I work there. I mean, it's expensive. If so, it costs.
Oh, really?
It's something. Yeah, if you're gonna, there are a lot of farms that do like grass fed, farm raised, pastured. And I order from one of them like periodically, but because it's expensive, I tend to just do it a couple times a year. The one that I go to is White Oak Pastures. I think they're down in Georgia. But they ship. They'll ship in a freezy container. And that's where I get my pastured duck if I want a pastured duck. And they also will sell duck breasts, but a lot of the time, I mean, they're popular, so a lot of the time stuff is out of stock. You kind of got to lurk on their site to see when things come back in because they're a sustainable farm community. So essentially, since they're doing it sustainably, there are certain times of year where they slaughter. You can't always get like exactly the thing you want. You kind of have to pay attention to the seasonality of it, which is kind of cool actually. But yeah, I ordered from them a couple of times. I got some nice heritage pork belly from them. That was nice, and it was a nice big portion too. So we essentially cut it up and froze it, and had lots of different pork belly experiments. But yeah,
Hmm. Okay.
you can definitely find farms that do that kind of sustainable farming where everything is grass fed or pastured and yada yada. You're just paying more for it because they put more care into it and they're not mass producing it, right? So yeah, you're gonna pay a little bit more, but you shop around and there's a ton of places. But I like that that particular place is very into sustainable farming and rotating their land. So like they'll do cows, and then they'll do the birds over the top after the cows leave the pasture. They'll put the birds in because they kind of help aerate the soil and do a bunch of other stuff with their manure to help refertilize. And they're into that kind of like crop cycling except with livestock. It's interesting.
And I assume too, being that it's a game bird or something about it, because poultry is one of the probably the is it the only no goose is too, I know that, but is it those are two of the only game birds you actually serve basically mid rare to medium, right? I mean,
Yeah, you can cook a duck more. David does not like his duck rare. I do. So I just compromise and mostly go for like a medium rare to medium, kind of somewhere between there. It's still tasty. But yeah, you can actually serve duck, medium rare, and that's where
but you
you
could serve it
should.
rare too.
I think probably medium rare. I don't think you would serve it rare, not true rare. I've seen it be
Okay.
pretty raw in the middle, but it's always cooked pretty much on the outside.
I I oh that's fair. It's waterfowl. That's fair.
Yeah,
Now, and I guess because it's a waterfowl that you can get away with that, or because
it's
at the
just
end of
the
the day, I
type
know
of
you
meat, I
can't
think.
really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, you can't do it with chicken. You should never ever do it with chicken. But, um, but yeah, duck you could do it with. It's such a darker meat. It's a totally different beast, and the texture is different from chicken as well. So, I don't know. Go to a nice restaurant and have some duck, Justin. Try it out. See if you like it. In Denton, well, actually, now I guess we can't go to restaurants, but when restaurants reopen, take McKaylee to like Hannah's in Denton. They're near the square and they're a really good restaurant. Like have a really good chef. It's not cheap, but it's really tasty. And they usually will have duck on the menu somewhere. That way you can try it
Okay.
without without investing and having to learn to cook it and risking not cooking it, correctly and all that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. No, I think it's medium rare. I think I misspoke, Mighty Jabberwock. I don't think you can do like duck. What's it? Tartar. I think you have to do medium rare. But I mean that just means it's rare in the middle, right? It's like it just means you've got a graduation. But you do have to cook it to a certain temperature. So I'm pretty sure that it was my misthinking and my misspeaking there, and that medium rare is the correct temperature. What I meant to say is that I like it rarer and David does not. All right, so let's put a nice highlight right there on the knee.
I have to imagine that comes down to well, this is a bird. This should be fully cooked all the way through. Otherwise, it's unsafe, right?
Right, I don't know. But I mean, you can still do it medium rare, and medium rare does have
Oh
some
yeah.
serious raw, near raw stuff in the middle. So
No,
you
I
can do
agree.
tuck
It's
tartar. Oh, Vaca Roja says we can't. You can do duck tartar.
ooh, that sounds. I would try that. That sounds great. But
But I
I
love
I
steak
just
tartar. So
I do too. I love steak tartare.
so that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't think. I thought I was misremembering, but maybe I was, even in my speaking what I thought incorrectly. I may have hit on something. Maybe you can eat. Not that I think you'd want to. Like I do like, for one thing with duck, it's important to render the fat, right? And so you do need to apply some heat that way. If you're doing tartar, I assume you're just doing the meat. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to estimate. Like, I guess think the average American that doesn't like McKaylee, for instance, she doesn't even eat her. She eats her steak
Uh huh.
at most medium,
Yeah.
but she's okay with well done, and I'm like, I'm not making a
Oh,
ribeye well done. I'm
no
not doing
way.
that.
Well, yeah, you're
Yeah,
wasting it. You're wasting it at that point. Like that's really like that's an insult to the steak. That steak ought to sit up on the plate and slap her.
I completely agree.
Yeah, see, that's that in RIU and David. He doesn't like the texture. Yep. Same thing. Whereas I don't mind it if it's medium rare, if the outside is well crisped and it has a bit of the chewiness in the middle, it doesn't bother me as much. If well done is just another name for ruined. Yeah, that's my mom though. Like she would make an effort to eat medium, but she likes her meat medium well. Ah, duck is red meat, says Rex. Tartar is safe. Yeah, I don't like the texture. Yeah, safe, quote unquote, right? Right? Recipes online say yes, huh? Well done, not responsible. That's awesome. That's awesome, Zeke. Yeah, well, okay, to tell a story, which I may have told before, but when I was growing up, Dad, because Mom always liked her stuff well done, Dad mostly just cooked our meat well done or medium well. And for years, guys, as I was a kid, I thought I hated steak. I was convinced I hated steak because every time I had steak, I didn't like it. Then I moved out to Baltimore, and some friends of mine in Virginia made me a rare tenderloin. And I was like, what have I been missing all my life? This is why people like steak. And I was actually mad at my parents because I was like, all these years I thought I hated steak, and it was just because you were cooking it badly. Yeah, cut off the horns and walk it by the grill. I'm with you, Keldar. At least with
Absolutely.
tenderloin. With tenderloin, I'm that. I do believe that ribeye is better done medium rare because you've got to render some of that tasty fat. And you've got to get it to that nice, have almost liquid, translucent tastiness.
I also, in
There,
terms
get
of like
that
raw
highlight going.
protein,
Yeah.
I will eat basically at this point the only way I'll eat salmon is completely raw. Like I kid you, I could probably fillet a salmon and then just eat the fillet.
Wow.
I love salmon raw.
I do
Love it.
love raw salmon also, actually. I'm with you on that. I do. Actually, I haven't had sushi in too long. Maybe I'll tell David he's on his own for lunch tomorrow and I'm going to go get sushi. I've been kind of like talking. He doesn't like sushi when it's cold out. Like, he likes it when it's warm out, but that means I don't get any sushi. And as anybody who is from Paint Club knows, I had sushi every week on Saturday for, a few years. So I'm kind of missing my sushi here. Yeah, I agree that overcooked fish is bad. Yeah, sushi. That used to be my bribe because I was working 6 days a week because I would go in and do Paint Club. If I was going to work on Saturday, I figure I deserved sushi. So that was what I would do every Saturday. When I became a starving artist and depended on you guys for my main income, I stopped doing that because it is very expensive and I didn't want to, be irresponsible with my patrons' money. But I think now I could probably afford to do it every once in a while. So I'm sure since you all obviously adore sushi, you don't mind if I spend some of my food money on having sushi every once in a while. I think I could afford it every once in a while. It's like as you stabilize it in your freelance income, you are allowed to once again have things like sushi. There we go. So we're getting some highlights here. See how we're doing. But see how I'm also keeping that darkness at the edge, as if the stone is almost kind of making a rim up against the skin, right? Where it's like fighting against the skin, or the skin is fighting against it. So I like that kind of feeling where where the skin is growing in because the statue has to come to life to defend wherever it is. But the legs are looking pretty good there. The midriff is coming. It's coming up. You can like your food well done, Deborah. For me, it really, really, like, I don't like the flavor of it with steak. And so I really felt like I like the flavor so much better when it's not as cooked. But everybody is different and everybody is valid. So if you like well done, we will not make fun of you. We will simply go, it's all for you, man. More for you. We'll keep our rare tenderloins over here.
Absolutely. The only thing I would require though is if you eat well done because you've always eaten well done, you really should give mid rare a try at least
Yeah,
once.
at least give it a try. Even my mom gave it a try, and when we went down to San Antonio, when she came to visit me years ago, we went and drove down to San Antonio and went to a steakhouse. And the lady asked me how I wanted my tenderloin, and I'm like, as rare as you can make it. And my mother's like, yuck! And I'm like, you wait. And the woman, the waitress turned to my mom and went, nope, she's ordering it correctly. As rare as you can make it. But yeah, if you've never tried it, absolutely try stuff. Absolutely try stuff. That's why I kind of am like, the thing is, Justin, the reason I say go to a restaurant and try some duck is that then it's going to be cooked competently. And it'll give you an idea, if you like it that way, or if you like it at all, right? So, without you investing money in buying ducks. Because they're not, they're more expensive. Inara is correct, by the way. I'm sorry, Inara, I didn't get a chance to comment when you first said it, but you can find frozen duck in the grocery store, not regularly in Texas, in my experience. Inara, I mostly found the frozen duck around the holidays, and out here in California, for sure, I only see it around the holidays. But you can find it in the grocery store. It's not pastured; it's farm raised on grain and stuff. But it depends on how titchy your diet is. Trying to get the stomach more to come out, guys, with some highlights. I still want to keep some of my shadows down here. Don't want to lose it all. But that's coming along. That stripe there's a little bit weird. I might decide to just make the whole lower part of this stomach. Wherever your pattern isn't serving you, wherever it's like looking weird, like this is starting to look like a stomach wrinkle. So I'm just going to kill it. I'm going to make this entire area skin. I've got plenty of other points where the stone is creeping over the skin, so I can just keep this and highlight the stomach nicely, and then we won't get that weird wrinkly look anymore. So do think about when you're applying your pattern, if you're doing like a stone to flesh kind of thing like this, when you're doing those streaks to kind of suggest that the magic is rushing over the body, do keep in mind certain areas where you want it to look right. You might need to sacrifice some texture on those areas to make them either one way, stone, or the other, flesh, to make them look good. So, No cannibal sandwiches? Never heard of it, Caldor. That was a long time ago, though. I mean, I moved away from Wisconsin 20 years ago, so... And when I was a kid, my parents weren't very adventurous. I did go to college in Madison, but I was very much a starving student, did not have much cash. So I wasn't a very adventurous eater when I was there. My family ethnicity is German, so when we did stuff, it was usually like a German sausage and things like that. We weren't so much into like quirky food recipes. My parents were pretty vanilla. Well, Dad liked things like liver and onions, but Mom never expected us kids to eat that. Which is kind of a shame, because I like pate. Raw ground beef on bread. Oh yeah, my mom would never, and my dad firmly believes in cooked food. Like, he might like his food a little rarer than Mom does, but there is no way. They would have taught us, Mom thought that rare beef would kill you. Like, she honestly would have discouraged us kids from ever trying such a thing. Probably not now, because steak tartare, right? But And I've become quite a bit of a foodie, but when we were kids, yeah, no way would that have worked. And ground beef raw, that's gross. That totally can hurt you. So because there's other stuff in ground beef. It's not all beef. I mean, I guess if you get your sirloin and you grind it yourself, or it's a reputable, establishment where you're certain that they're using pure ground sirloin and not, normal ground beef, which has all sorts of crap in it, then you could trust it. But be careful. Hey, 15 months, Gent. 2021's looking pretty awesome. I don't know. I was on the phone I had to call up my financial people because I have a 401k and I had to change my address on it since I moved. And for some reason the website was weird. But the lady on the phone was so taken aback by my positive, like the fact that I was cheerful, guys. Like she was just so like, she just didn't know what to do. Apparently, like most people in finance are like, really hating their lives right now. And I was a refreshing breath of fresh air. But yeah, I have to say, even with all the crazy, and there's been a lot of crazy, I think what I like to think of right now, all that's crazy as, is us purging ourselves of the remnants of 2020. Like, even though there's bad stuff going on, I have hope and faith for a good future. So, because I'm an incurable optimist, dang it. Yeah, Hudson, you have insider knowledge, yeah. So, and I'll trust that, right? Let's see here. I need to get my highlight color mixed up a little bit. Notice though, guys, how since I'm thinning it, even though this is a really yellow color, when you put it over the skin, it just looks like lighter skin. It looks like skin that the sun is catching, right? And that's what the purpose of is in using highlight, a yellow in some of your skin highlights is to give that kind of like sun-caught look. Like she really does look like she's bronzed and like the light is really just catching her leg, and that's what I'm looking for. Oh, Time Stitcher, just put it out of your oh yeah, I made duck liver spread last time I did a duck too. I didn't get any organs in the current duck that I had. I was very sad, Inara, because I do like duck liver pate. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm glad that this works for you, Jabberwock. I'm getting kind of, like, I wasn't sure when I started how I was going to feel about it, but I'm actually liking this quite a bit. I've done this kind of stone to life thing before, but the last time I did it was on Sekhmet from the Nefsekar army that Reaper put out. Julie Guthrie sculpt. Wonderful, wonderful sculpt. And I did her turning from stone to flesh, but because she's a lion goddess, a lion-headed goddess, and the stone was more of the traditional Egyptian stone, it was really putting two different kind of golden colored things together. So although you can tell the difference, it wasn't nearly as challenging as doing this kind of streaky, like clouds kind of racing over the surface pattern. I haven't done this one before, but I'm liking how it's turning out. I think it's going to carry the idea just fine. So, although I may take it a bit more into her shoulder here. I may get rid of some of the cracks. Also, you guys should know the cracks are really dark right now, but I'm going to glaze over them to make them look more like they're integrated into the skin. And we're going to narrow them up and we're going to highlight their lower edges and stuff. So we are still going to work a lot on all this stonework. It's not close to done. I just decided I wanted to take a break and get her skin side a little bit done so that we could see better the effect that we were producing. So soaking it in acidity will actually cook fish. That's what ceviche is. I love ceviche. Except that they always put tomatoes in it, which means then I don't like ceviche. If I could just find a reliable restaurant that would give me ceviche without tomatoes, that would make me happy. But yeah, I think the reaction is actually akin to cooking at that point. The lime juice actually cooks, quote unquote, the fish, which is so super cool. There, let's get that light really on the edge of that knee. Wherever something is really going to catch the light, that's where I want that highlight. Then I can bring up a little bit of highlight on the underside, but I still want to leave a little bit of shadow there. Skin is shiny, so in a lot of ways, skin can be painted kind of like a really toned down NMM sometimes, because you do have under reflections. Got a little bit light there. And since you have all your colors open, if you get a little bit too light, you can always bring your shadow color in and kind of tone it down a bit. There. I like that. That's good. That's good. Yeah, it's hard to find places that'll grind the meat for you these days, unless you're going to a real butcher shop. Like, I'm kind of can't wait till things are a little bit better around here, and I can actually get out to a real butcher shop in this area and see what I can get, because I would like some more options. And often, like at Sprouts or Whole Foods, whether they'll do something for you seems to depend on how busy they are and and how they're feeling that day. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because there they are working behind the counter. You'd think that if you asked them to grind you some X, Y, or Z, then that wouldn't be a big deal. But apparently, that's not what they're there for these days. So I am looking forward to being able to get out to a real butcher shop. Oh, and there's also a fish market. That's really, like, driving like 45 minutes. I could go to a real fish market, like one where the fish just came off the boat. That would be awesome. Sushi and not sashimi. Yeah, difference. Yeah, same here. I've had food poisoning as well, but not from raw meat ever. Though I have had a reaction to shrimp, just from it's that allergic reaction you get when the bacteria has grown on the outside of the shrimp. Apparently, that's pretty common, but it means that I only do shrimp when it's been pre-frozen, because that's usually the way you can get around that, is what I learned. Because frozen shrimp are usually frozen like right on the boat. Like, they just dump the catch onto a bed of ice, and so they don't sit out at, temperature for very long at all. And that seems to have worked. I haven't had an allergic reaction to shrimp since I started just doing frozen wild caught. There. That's nice. That's coming along. Coming along, yeah. All right. Now let's see. Now that I like my skin tone, I think I'm going to put some over here. This will also make it a little bit easier for when I putty in this join. That I didn't at first, because I wasn't sure how much I was going to like this model, or if I really was going to want to go like and paint all of it. But I like it now, so I'm going to actually bring the skin in a little bit more over this join. That will make it, doing it this way will make it much easier to paint over this join, because then it's just the skin tone. Instead of having to worry about all the rock texture, I can just worry about the skin tone when I do that putty job. So yeah, I keep rendered fat too, Inara. I have bacon fat and duck fat. I'm so excited that I have duck fat right now. It didn't give me as much duck fat as I would like, because of course if I would just have a ton of duck fat if I could. But it's enough probably to do the duck confit for David, because I have duck thighs sitting in the freezer that need to be made into confit. So I'm going to make the boob a little bit more flesh tones so we can get a nice highlight and shadow pattern going up here. I decided that I'm going to wipe out some of my stone and go that way. Totally fair. Totally fair, because I felt like that area was getting a little busy anyway. So there's two ways to raise interest, visual interest in the model, and one of them is to do the stony texture, and the other one is to do some really sleek skin highlights. Both of those things attract the eye. The cracked texture can do it a little bit more so, because it's it's a freehand effect essentially, and freehand always pulls the eye, but a nice tight highlight on skin can do the same thing. So it's two different ways to kind of pull the eye. Plus the skin is warmer, a warmer color, so it's also pulling the eye. Yeah, hopefully in a building. Well, you know what? If it arrives frozen, JT, just let Reaper know. Let Reaper know all that happened. We are not. We understand that stuff happens, especially with shipping in this era lately. That things can get lost, rerouted, float through the ether for 4 weeks. Even the shipping companies are pretty pragmatic about it now. I went to the UPS store to mail some stuff, and they were like, well, this is where it should be, and if it's not, let us know, and we'll track it and try to follow up and do all this stuff. So they know. But yeah, Reaper customer service is always good. There we go. Got that highlight on the rib cage, which is really nice. Yeah, you'll know if it's frozen. It just won't go into solution. You just won't be able. Yeah, if you like Nomad Zeke says, stick a toothpick in it, pull it out, and see if it looks chunky or cottage cheesy, like really really melted cottage cheese. Yeah, exactly. Cottage cheesy is the adjective that I typically use. So you'll know pretty much right away. And what's happened in that case, the reason that freezing paint is a bad thing, and this is true of any paint really, is that all paint is kind of an emulsion of water and plastic resins of one sort or another, and then pigments and additives to make the paint more matte, or surfactants to hold it all together. And so what happens then is when the paint freezes, it's the water that freezes. And as that water freezes, it squeezes everything else out of solution. To get all that in solution in the first place, that paint had to be put into a super high-powered mixer to get the water to actually go into solution with all of those resins and other chemical compounds. So when you freeze it, when that water squeezes that stuff out, you don't have a super high velocity mixer, so you're never going to get that paint back into solution. Hopefully that kind of explains the chemical process that happens. Think of it like squeezing water out of cheese, where it's like you're freezing the water, so it's all going out. All you have left is goopy and then a puddle of water, right? That's what you're kind of getting. Yeah, well, JT, just write them on. I mean, we really like it when you're a customer, but you obviously understand that it's not our fault. I mean, and that things just are happening now. I mean, just write them an email pretty much saying that, hey, I know I already asked you to replace this. I feel so bad, but that got lost in transit and then it froze and now it's all, I can't make it work. Can I please get another replacement? They're cool. Reaper's cool. We just like it when people aren't mad. Like, any customer servant is like that. Like, if you can approach almost any customer servant in the, in any business with kind of this kind of happened and I'm sorry that it happened, but I really would like a replacement. Is there any way you can help me? Rather than, God damn it, try not to be mad. That's all we ask. Work with us. All right, so highlighting that, trying to get kind of that shadow. We try. We really try. Can confirm. I am customer servant. Got it, Hudson. Yeah, and I've been one in the past as well, so. Yeah. Yes, every constituent component with its own freezing point. Paint is mayo. Yeah, you pretty much. I just always like to think of it as the water crystallizes, it just squeezes everything out of solution. Until you have a block of ice and a block of goo. And the goo is eh? Yeah, because plastic, I guess plastic can freeze, but, it's going to be goo whether it's frozen or not. So we're just highlighting out where this kind of goes into the light. So we're getting a nice blended highlight on this. And I think I might just hold off and maybe we'll putty the shoulder next time. I'm going to hold off doing the highlights on this. I think I will shade a bit though under the arm. I still have a little bit of a mold line there. I'm kind of annoyed at that. It is been a fight to get this elbow. The ones that go over the elbows are the worst, right? Because you have it dips into that. So let me get it in the light so I can see it. There it is. I think I just didn't get it quite because it's kind of concave there, so it's a little bit hard to go down and get that mold line. Just be gentle with it. Try to kind of scrape it off. I've got another one down here. These are Bones Black, so they're a more brittle material, so they are a little bit easier to scrape the mold line off of in my experience. They're not as rubbery. There. That's good. Yeah, her skin is getting there now. We're really seeing it, that she's human, right? Now she really looks human on this side, and that's what we want, right? I still need to do more on the arm, as I said. I do need to line her fingers and all around that hand as well. got a little bit of a mold line going down those fingers. When I have this kind of thing, guys, where the fingers are just slightly out of alignment and there's a mold line going down, I will just go in and with my knife and kind of cut the divot there and kind of realign them a little bit just with the knife. See if I can do it without, breaking too much. If they're really out of alignment, that's not going to help and you almost need to resculpt. But this one is just a little out of alignment. Just on that mold line. So I can scrape a little bit and try to make them get a little bit more. Take down that mold line. Poink. I'm doing a lot of little mold line removal tricks today. There we go. Yeah, I agree, the last mold line is only found after 3 coats of paint. That's good, Jabberwock. Yeah, we really try to turn it around fast. I mean, that's you can thank Ed for that. Ed has been very hardcore on, he's like, we have to compete with Amazon. People expect stuff fast. And so he's been very much onto how fast can we turn things around. Just in the last few years especially, to try to keep Reaper moving very quickly. And our internet department is fantastic. I'm just going to remove this bit of mold line here. Now, her spear is wobbly, and this makes me a little sad, but I just decided to go with it. I kind of tried to straighten it a bit, but it's so thin that I really had trouble with it. So since this bone's black, I might be able to bend it and get it to stay if I'm really sharp about it. But maybe not, so we'll see. It's when they're so thin like this, sometimes you just got to kind of get it close and then give up. And I'm not super disturbed at a slight bend in it, because a long spear might have had a slight bend to it. So we'll see. I may futz with it before we paint it, because any extreme bends have to be done before I do that. Just catching up on this. Yeah, Reaper's good. We are people. We are people who understand your pain when things go wrong, and we try to make it good. That's what we want to do. And if we ever feel that we can't work with you or we can't make it right, we will at least give you a complete refund. Like, we really try to work with people however we can, though. Pendrake, I think I'm going to make it wood. I don't know, though. I mean, I hate long weapons like this with long, blank surfaces. Where it's just what do you even do with it? It's too thin to really do a texture on. Bronze doesn't make sense to me because she's turning alive on this side, and I really like the idea that everything on this side is living, because that's where she's starting to step up and turn and pivot her weight to go toward the attacker she just noticed. So, yeah, I'm not sure yet. It is kind of trying to do wood grain on something like this is really, it almost never looks right. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I do know I'm taking this mold line off, though. So really gently scraping with my knife to get all that line off of there. And all of the little, bits that can come up. There. There. It's better. But yeah, even my little bend that I did earlier is kind of working. So I don't know. I probably just have to really bend it strongly and do it repeatedly enough so that it kind of realigns. I thought originally that she was meant to be resting it on the base, but when I positioned the arm appropriately, she's really meant to be lifting it off the ground so that you can see that she's turning to attack somebody. So, yeah, the weapon wouldn't be alive, so. But I mean, you can paint it like it's stone, or you can paint it like it's wood, right? So, a wooden steel. And I'd rather do that. I'd rather not make the weapon stone. So, kind of just figuring out what you're going to do with it. I also have a mold line down here on the foot. See, notice how I care more about mold lines when I actually start liking the model. Some models got a good clean job right out the gate. Some models I was like, eh. But then once I get the paint job to the point where I like it, I'm like, oh, I don't like this mold line anymore. But that's fine. It was just a base coat, so I can work over it. So anybody have anything fun planned for the weekend? I think I'm just vegging. I think this is a veg weekend. Again, I could do it. I don't know if I care that much. I tend not to. I'm annoyed with like the whole water and ice bath. If David is doing some resin, maybe I'll try. But as long as I can get it close, as long as I can get it like to where it's decent, I honestly am probably not going to care. Close enough. I do not require perfectly straight spears to be happy. Quiet weekend at home? Good. More time with Maldrakar. Ooh. Going to play with paints and play WoW Classic. Aaron's NMM class. Cool. Work in Cyberpunk. Cool. Yeah, I'm going to work on my, a bit on Patreon stuff. I'm almost all caught up. Gotta get a video out to you guys about coverage and Master Series paints. Thought about doing it in PDF too. I'm not sure. Kind of going back and forth on it. I don't do a lot of PDFs for $2 tiers, so maybe I'll do one. They tend to take more time. But I tend to like the video format for $2 also, because you guys can see what I'm talking about. There we go. That's got that foot a little bit better. Oh, got a little bit of grit in there that I didn't pull off. That doesn't fit her though. She's not really a Gorgon. And this is not actually, if it was the other model, then Dabra it might work, because the other model actually has a Gorgon shield, so it would be in theme. But this one does not have a Gorgon shield. She has a bull. So, and I need to remember also that I'm covering up a lot of this with this bull. So you can still see parts of it. It's going to be off like that. So I can still see parts of what I'm doing, so that's good. But there's going to be, most of this leg is going to be in shadow. So I need to remember that and not maybe spend a ton of time on it. Like, you still need your basic highlight shadows and you probably need a couple of cracks, but since the shield is covering so much of the lower part of this leg, you probably don't need to spend as much time on that area as you would on other areas on the figure. So, you know, she's kind of like that. And if we turn her around, you can see the back of the shield, so we'll have to spend some time on that. And the back of the leg is still there, so we can spend a lot of time on that. And we haven't highlighted the butt yet. But yeah, mostly working on the front today. So, thanks, Loam. Glad you like it. I like doing this sort of thing. I really like the whole turning to flesh kind of thing, or the turning to stone thing. If you've got a adventurer being petrified. Well, a lot of that is the sculpt and not me, Twisted Oma. But I need to do more highlights on this side too. But yeah, a lot of this is just a really good sculpt from Gene. Gene Van Horn did these. Oh, working on sword fight choreography. That's fun, Jabberwock. The shield is going to be stone. I think, Hudson. I guess we could make it metal. But I'm going to be doing metal on the other living statue, because there's a male version of this. And so I think I was really looking forward to doing this shield stone because I can do some really cool marbling and cracks. I was really looking forward to that. Now, if we wanted to, we could make the shield kind of turning into bronze. We could actually, let's see, how would that work? I had to look at my magic. My magic pattern that I have. All right, my magic pattern that I have is intersecting. We do have some flesh stuff intersecting. So we could possibly bring some streaks down here through the shield here. And then we could paint those as if they're bronze and have the stone for the rest of the shield. And that way we can make the part of the bull's head bronze. That could be cool. That could be a cool idea. Because the shield would be, probably, in a, traditional statue. So, yeah, we could do that. I don't think I would do black onyx on the bull. Because onyx is actually pretty boring to paint. It's black, and it's shiny. So it's like black with pinpoints, highlights. It's just, Trying to make it read like onyx and not just black paint is, like, really difficult because onyx doesn't have a texture, really. It's just jet. If it's polished onyx, it's just black. So when you're doing stuff like that, I always tell people, like really think about what materials, if you're trying to do a specific material, think seriously about how well it will carry at this scale and with painting techniques. Because stuff like that, what's the difference between a glossy black paint and jet or onyx, polished onyx? On the model this size, the answer is nothing. So doing that sort of thing doesn't matter so much. Like it probably won't give you a very unique look. But doing marble, you can do on this surface and put the veins and everything. So you could get a cool effect that way. So think about that too. Like there are some textures that at 28 millimeter just don't show up very well. So it would be again, but again, it would just look like black paint. I'd rather do something cool like bronze where I could put some verdigris in and some weathering on it. Because it's like, yeah, it's in theme, but can you portray it well on a 28 millimeter model? There's two questions here. For me, I'm always questioning that because it's like on small models, as I work on more big models, I'm even more conscious that small models do limit you on some textures. A lot of textures, they really limit you. So you want to think about it, like if you want it to look really cool, got to ask yourself, well, this is a cool concept, but how would I execute it to make it look cool? So I always think of that kind of thing. Yeah, but that's not like the color of the piece. I wouldn't do that. I'd be okay going with bronze because I was going to go bronze up here on the spearhead. So doing a bit of bronze. But remember, guys, like I said, we have a whole nother living statue, and I'm going bronze on that. So that will be a different. I may only do that part of that one. Just because you guys have already seen like the skin into the stone kind of thing, and we'd mostly be talking about bronze. I probably would do the shield to show you guys kind of how to do it. And it would be interesting just because the bronze would be much darker at first than the skin tone. So, no problem, Val. Work is work. Work, work, work. Yeah, again, it would be better on a bigger piece, though. Like, if you're really going to look for an onyx appearance, I think it would be much better on a larger model. Like a bust or something. Or big model. Big action figure or something like that. Or big statue, even. But, I would not want to try to tackle that on something little. I would just be concerned that it wouldn't actually look cool. Yeah, better late than never. But, what you want to do is up to you. If you think you can make it look cool, go for it. It's just like, I look at that and I'm like, it's not going to look as cool as me doing more stone and bronze and stuff like that. Because, it is partially about making it look cool. What do I want to do? I want to line a bit just at the end here. I think I want to get some differential between the hand and the spear, and I want to kind of come in and accentuate the bikini on the stone side. And then we can call it for the day, and we can all go and have a great weekend. Although I have Patreon stuff to work on today, so this afternoon is Patreon stuff. Now that I can actually paint again. Now that my back is not destroying me. But yeah, don't worry, Val. I know it's cool. You got work. We all have work. Our work's just different. You missed a bunch of food talk anyway. Ed's house brush. Yes. Ed's house brush trumps everything, pretty much. But yes, if you yourself own this model, by all means, paint it like the bowl is onyx and go for historical verisimilitude. And I get the bikini to work out here. Boop. Which, of course, the bikini is not sculpted on, it is painted on. Because Twitch. Because we need there to be some sort of covering, shall we say. So that Twitch does not get extremely annoyed at us. Yeah, it'll be interesting, right? I think a lot of people are probably going to do them real simple in Ara, which is fine, because if it's a monster, you know, you don't want to put a crap ton of time into it. I like to make it look cool, so... But even then, I don't anticipate this model taking a lot of time. Like, once you really get going, once I've got the skin down and this side done, doing the stone on everything is very fast, relatively speaking. Blocking it in and then refining it, I think will be okay. I do need to do these shoulder joints, though, which means I need to do the one. Sadly, I can't attach this arm yet because I need to paint some of this stuff first. You can all see that this is definitely one of those where if you primed black, you could, like if you use black brush on primer or whatever to do your base, then you could totally attach this right out the gate and just leave that black like wherever you can't reach, and it would probably be fine for a monster. But for me, I want to, make sure I'm painting everything, and so I don't want to attach this yet. It means that I'm going to be doing 2 sets of putty work, one on the shoulder right now, and or in the near future, and the other on the shoulder once we've got this leg painted, and also once I have the back of the shield painted. I want to get this stuff all blocked in, even if it's just a shadow color. Like, if something's going to be in shadow, feel free to just do, like, your shadow base coat, and then a little bit of highlighting wherever the light would reach, and then plop it on there. Because you don't need to paint the backside to the full measure if it's going to be in shadow. But you do need to do a little bit of work on it, and I find it much easier to do that when it's not attached to the model. So I'd rather do putty work after the fact. Is there a Bones 5 update later today, Justin? Or John? Hey, Sidestorm, thank you for the resub. 16 months, dang. Thank you. Marble and bronze, yeah. Yeah, if they're just being used as regular statues. And of course, a living statue might not turn to flesh, but I like the idea that it would, so. There we go. Alright, so let's get some lining on these fingers.
By the way, there is actually not going to be a Bones 5 Kickstarter update today.
Oh, okay. No Bones 5.
We moved it to next Friday.
Oh, okay. Thanks, John.
Yes, I'm sure John tweeted it out and put it out on everything too. So, but we're still going to have people who will likely ask. But spread that to all of your Twitch friends, because I don't want people wasting their time. We'll probably remind people at the end of John's stream today, because we're going to do something interesting and different for John's stream today at 3 o'clock. It's not going to be quite Reaperland. It's going to be something a little different, but you guys should check out. Yeah.
Mysteriousness.
We'll do some fun stuff.
Oh. Hear that, guys? Fun stuff.
We might play some games. We might do some sculpting. We'll do some stuff.
Yeah, have fun, Loam. Have a great weekend. Thanks for stopping in. Human sacrifices. No, Keldor. Not in public. When you stream it on Twitch, it really makes it really hard to hide the body. Come on. There we go. We got some line around the fingers. See, that makes them all stand out. And I've got a line just a little bit further back. Alrighty. I'm excited because I love the days where I just have the whole afternoon to just work on stuff and focus on stuff. Like, makes me happy. Bone black, technically, lamp black is close. I mean, it's not made with carbonized human remains, but it is made with like carbon black. Mummy brown, yeah, we're not going to get there. I thought about putting out a color that was really close to mummy brown, but I think we might already have one. And the problem with mummy brown was the transparency factor, which most people wouldn't want. Like, a lot of miniature painters would not know quite what to do with it. It had that heavy redshift too. Trust me, I've looked at mummy brown. I thought about doing a faux mummy brown for holidays a couple times while I was at Reaper still. It's actually a really odd color. It does kind of look like rotting meat. Pretty gross. But apparently it was a warm, transparent brown, which nobody could get otherwise, and that's why all those pre-Raphaelites really liked it until they found out where it came from. Let's see here. I'll thin that line up. Alrighty, so lining the hand, it'll get, I'll knock down the darkness of the lining to make the fingers look more natural, but that lining between the fingers really is a necessary thing. It really does bring out details. And we're at 11:02. Yeah, you. The sad thing is they'd run out of ashes, Dr. Bob. It's very, very you. Mummy Brown is very you. But yes. So Justin, who do we have to raid?
Let's see here.
Trying to line around my little van braces here, guys. Blorfing. Doesn't matter though, because I'm blorfing on the side where I haven't painted. This is the key to lining after you base something. I have to line the underside from the other side here so I can get at it.
I really like the piece that Luca's painting today, actually. So.
Oh yeah, he's still working on that bust, that cool female bust with the lighting.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
It's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah, yeah, bone grit would be bad in paint, guys. Trust me here. Yeah, so let's go over and watch Luca paint that fantastic bust he's working on. I really liked the colors he was painting on the jacket in the back, where he was using kind of the bluish highlights on the violet. Thought it was really cool. And go say hello to him, please, for us. There we go. There, here, let's back out and show you guys the statue from a little ways away here. There we go. So, put that out of there. So that's where we are. You can definitely see the highlighting and the skin tones now. This part of her now looks like it's alive, which is great. That's what kind of I wanted to do. I wanted to kind of start getting that feel going, which could be like cool and dramatic then as we go up. And I've expanded the skin tones a little bit here, which is awesome. So I can't really do it up on the helmet because that's obviously stone and cracked, but otherwise we're getting there, guys. This is looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. So I hope you had fun with today's show. We covered skin tones. We covered a little bit of lining. I talked a little bit about various textures and how to do them, and we did some mold line removal. So that's what we covered, and I hope you all have fun. Yay for the weekend, right? Yay for the weekend. Have a great one, and I will see you all on Monday.
Thank you guys very much. We'll see you at 3 o'clock for John and I's special edition of Reaperland today. But it'll be fun. Come check it out, I promise.